Hello, this is Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Bregman from the Jewish Executive Learning Network and BregmanSuccess.com. It's Thursday late at night in New Jersey. I'm out of time to make a video on this week's Torah portion, but I am loyal to you, so I wanted to make an effort to at least get you an audio. It's been a long day at this end. Massive rainstorms. My car wouldn't start tonight. I'm almost 70 miles from home, and a torrential downpour. The battery was dead. That added a lot of time. It's been that kind of day, but I figured it's much better to at least get you the audio, some good audio words of Torah on this week's Torah portion than nothing at all. So hang with me, and we'll do it this way this week. This is much faster and quicker for the late hours. So this week's Torah portion, it's called Parshas Vayeitzei. We're in the book of Genesis, the book of Bereshis. And this idea I'm going to share with you is found in my work, my Torah commentary called Short and Sweet on the Parsha. So it says over there in chapter 29, verse 10 of this week's Torah portion of Vayeitzei, it says that Jacob, came forward and he rolled the stone off the mouth of the well. Okay, so there was a well in this town, and Yaakov was able to remove the stone off the top of the well by himself. That's what it means. Now, the question many commentaries ask is, how could this yeshiva bacher, this yeshiva student, accomplish this feat? After all, we see 7 verses earlier in chapter 29, verse 3, that usually a very large group of men was required to get this rock off the mouth of the well. Back then, in this place, the people didn't really trust each other. So when they wanted to get water, all the men would have to come, and they would move the rock off the well together. And this way, they could be sure that nobody was taking more than what he was supposed to, etc. But somehow, this yeshiva student, Yaakov Avinu, Jacob, he was able to move this off by himself, by the well, and in a way that all this large group of men, usually they were able to do it. So the question is, how could he do it? And if you think that when he was back in yeshiva learning Torah, Yeshiva Halim, he was dwelling in the tents learning Torah, as the Bible tells us. Now, he wasn't lifting weights, and the Torah books weren't that heavy. It wasn't because of his muscles. So that's part of the question. Now, one of the ways when you learn Torah, you often see is that we want to savor a question. We try to strengthen the question as much as we can. So I'll make the question for you even stronger, okay? There's a rule, the Gemara says this in Tractate Sanhedrin, in the Talmud, in the Babylonian Talmud, Tractate Sanhedrin on page Chavav and Beis 26b. The rule over there says, Torah mateshes koiches shel adam, which means that Torah study weakens the physical strength of a person. So, you can grow a lot and become a much stronger human being if you learn Torah, but it's not referring to your physical strength per se. In fact, the Talmud says the opposite, that the Torah is mateshes, it weakens the koiches shel adam, the strength of a person. So Yaakov was thoroughly immersed in Torah study, so he actually should have been much physically weaker than the average person. You hear? It's not like Yaakov Avinu was one guy, and he was able to do what usually a large group of men was able to do. No, it's even stronger than that. I'm strengthening the question, because we have this rule that Torah mateshes koiches shel adam, that the Torah study can weaken the physical strength of a person. It's not like Yaakov had the physical strength of a regular guy. He was actually physically weaker than the average person. So I've strengthened the question. Question is, how did Yaakov Avinu roll this massive stone off of the well? Okay, that's the question. So Rav Shmuel Berenbaum Zatzal and many other commentaries explain that the type of strength that Jacob displayed, it is not the kind that involves muscles. You don't have to bench press for it. You don't have to squat for it. It had nothing to do with his physical body. It actually had to do with his dedicated heart, his focused heart. Okay, as a proof to this idea, you can actually see there's something in the Siddur, in the prayer book called Tefillas Geshem, the prayer for rain. In there, it references this. It says, he, Yaakov, unified his heart, and he rolled a stone off from the mouth of a well of water. It says that in the prayer book, in the regular prayer book we use. So you see, the idea is that Yaakov's strength had something to do with his heart, his unified heart, his dedicated heart, something like that. The commentaries say that it was his unified, dedicated heart that's what did the trick, not his brawn, not his muscles. And in fact, some of the commentaries say that this was also the source of his remarkable strength and stamina that enabled Yaakov to learn for 14 straight years back when he was in yeshiva. It's a famous teaching of Chazal, the ancient Jewish sages, that Yaakov had been able to learn Torah for 14 straight years in yeshiva without going to bed. Those of you who are able to learn the commentary of Rashi, know how to read it or look it up, maybe you have a translation. Rashi says this in the book of Bereshis, chapter 28, verse 11, this idea. So how could it be? He didn't sleep for 14 years? Come on, that's not normal. The answer is, it's something to do with it. This physical stamina and strength came from his dedicated, unified heart. And the whole concept I'm saying over here is that a human being can have incredible otherworldly power, even expressed in a physical way, not just in a spiritual way, but it can even come out in a physical way. Incredible stamina, incredible energy, incredible ability to do what other people physically can't do. But that's only when that person here, Jacob, only when he was completely focused. That's the idea so far. On a related note, I want to tell you something else that's kind of cool. The Gemara, the Talmud says in Tractate Sanhedrin, which I cited before, but on a different page, on page 38b, the Talmud says over there that Adam Harishon, Adam, the first person, originally the Talmud tells us that he was so big, so large, that he reached from one end of the world to the other. Now, some commentaries say this means like literally, like he was physically that big. Some commentaries say, no, it's allegorically stated. It actually means not that Adam was so big from one end of the world to the other. It means that that's how big his potential was. Okay. But however you understand that passage in the Talmud, literally or otherwise, the Talmud says over there that Hashem, that God, shrunk him down after Adam sinned in the Garden of Eden. That's what it says in the Talmud. That Adam was so big he reached from one end of the world to the other, but Hashem shrunk him down after he ate from the Eitz Hadas of Taivirah, the tree of knowledge of the good and bad. Okay, so what does this have to do with what I'm saying over Jacob, focus, concentration as a source of power? So Rav Chaim Shmulevitz Zatzal, the Rosh Hashiva of Mir, says this in his commentary, called Sichas Musar. He writes, I saw this a long time ago, that even after he was diminished and made smaller, after Hashem shrunk him down and he was diminished, Adam still kept all of his powers and koiches and abilities that he had before. And in fact, Rav Chaim Shmulevitz says, that's why the Gemara, the Talmud, uses the word covered him over, uses that expression, God covered him over, to describe the diminution, the shrinking down of Adam. The Talmud doesn't say that God just, shrunk him down. It says that Hashem covered him over, and that's how he made him small. Why is that important that he covered him over? So says Rav Chaim Shmulevitz, it's to tell you that Adam's spiritual powers were not taken away, they were merely covered over. And Adam is the first person, and what he had, that means that's what we have. So therefore, that means that our spiritual powers are on par with his, and it was covered over, but it wasn't taken away from us. So any Jew who would focus thoroughly on self-development through Torah study, personal growth, and anything else, that person is going to be able to access those crazy strengths that reach from one end of the world to the other. But you have to bring it out. But that's the same kind of idea. What I'm trying to say by tying these two sections together is that you see that Yaakov, had incredible physical power and stamina and physical ability because of his focus and concentration. And I'm just bringing out from this passage in the Talmud, as understood by Rav Chaim Shmulevitz and others, that how much power does a person have, to the point that Adam's ability to reach from one end of the world to the other It's still there. It's just merely covered over, and that we have the ability to bring that kind of power, physical and spiritual, to the fore. That's inside each and every one of us. If you're hearing my words right now, you got that in you. It's doable. So what do I want over here? And there'll be Messiahim, which means in Hebrew to conclude with this kind of idea. It's just a practical takeaway. On a very, very personal level, I'll just share with you. A lot of people comment to me and write and talk to me in real life or message me on Facebook, and they think of me, and this is a positive thing, and I'm grateful for it, as a very focused person, very organized. I know what I want to accomplish. I know how I want to go get it, and so on and so forth. And the truth is, yes, thank God I am blessed that I do have a lot of clarity. I would tell you that clarity, that unified, dedicated heart that I myself have towards my goals, my vision, my family, my legacy, what I want to do for the world, how I want to be remembered one day, that for me is a major, major source of my power, physical and otherwise. That's how I could work 100 plus hours a week. That's how I stay positive. That's why I can always bring energy, because it all comes back to the fact that I'm clear and my heart is completely focused on what do I want, where do I want to be, where do I want to end up. That's what helps me, I'm just talking me now, be very decisive, very focused, very strong, very consistent. I'm totally tired right now, but I'm still banging away, and I want to get this done. I'm willing to take big actions. I know where I want to go. What happens in life is that when you're unsure, then you're hesitant, then you take smaller actions and weaker actions on a daily basis. Your heart's not unified, and you become, in a spiritual sense and also energetically, a person who can't even move a pebble, off of the rock, so to speak. But I say this in a lot of different contexts. Like, imagine if you're driving a car and the speed limit says 60 miles an hour, but if you don't know where you're going, you're going to go 40, 50, 55. You're not going to let it rip, when you're 60 mile an hour speed limit area, right? But if you know where you're going, you can go fast. You can go 70, 80. I'm not even going to tell you what more can come, but we both know what can happen, right? When you're knowing where you're going and growing, you don't schlep, you just go. You go slow in life when you're not focused and you're not clear and you're not sure. But when you know, you turn on the jets and you could sprint, you could slam on the gas, you could race. That's what I'm trying to say over here. And it's very, very important. You can't take significant action when you're driving behind the wheel because you're not focused. So you go slow. It makes no sense to go fast, right? And the same with life. When you have the clarity, the focus, the unified heart, and you know what you want and know where you want to go, you have physical power. Just like your car, you seem to bring out more horsepower and speed and velocity when you know where you want to go. But you can't. You'd be dumb to go super fast in life if you don't know where you want to be and you're not clear on it. It's interesting. There's a pasuk. I never said this in public before, but it's a good verse to know. In the book of Mishlei, Proverbs, King Solomon wrote, chapter 19, verse 2, he writes, King Solomon wrote that a person who quickens his feet without reflection is a sinner. That's what Shlomo Melech, King Solomon, wrote. Because, you're going fast, you quicken your feet, there's no reflection, you're not clear. You're a sinner already. It's already like a sin. Because when you're not clear, that's not the time to take big action. Not the time to put the pedal to the metal. That's really what I'm trying to bring out over here. And that kind of thing, or I'll just leave you like this, I'll restate it in my own right now, in another way, a third way, a fourth way, a fifth way. If you say it enough different ways, often it registers with people. I'll just leave you with this, when you're clear and your heart is clear and your mind is clear and you have the clear directionality, like a laser beam, you know where you want to go. when you have that kind of clarity of purpose and feeling, it's the best. See, when you have that, you don't need somebody to go get you excited. You can do it for yourself just by thinking about it all. You know where you want to end up, and you just think about it and think about it. You can get yourself excited. This is the way I am. Like, I don't need somebody to come excite me every day. I don't need a motivational speaker or someone to come like wake me up. I just think about where I want to be and where I want to end up. That wakes me up, you know? In other words, what I'm trying to say is like, I don't need somebody to come charge my battery. I'm self-charging batteries. I'm my own generator in that sense, you know? And that's really what I'm trying to say, because if you have clarity, what you want to accomplish, your goals, your outcomes, what you want to create, the vision you want to pursue, what you want to bring to reality, that gives a person a lot of energy. We started out in the Parsha, speaking about Yaakov Avinu, Jacob, and his power, how it's expressed in a physical sense from his unified heart for his mission and service of God. And I would respectfully suggest in many spheres of life, it works the same way. If you have that kind of clarity and purpose, and you know what the outcomes are, and you have a unified heart to go get it, gives a person a lot of energy, and you become your own generator in life, and and you're able to accomplish things physically and otherwise that many people would have to gather around the well in order to pop it off the way you're popping that big stone off the well, so to speak. So anyway, I hope this made sense. Been a long day, but I hope my little bit of self-sacrifice to get you an audio at the minimum on this week's Torah portion paid off, and hopefully it means something to you. This is Rabbi Shlomo Zalman Bregman from the Jewish Executive Learning Network and BregmanSuccess.com. If you'd like to write me an email directly, my email is director@jeln.org. I also would encourage you, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to this YouTube channel. You might have to click backwards from this clip and find the little red button that says subscribe, and that way we'll be able to keep in touch with each other directly and learn and grow much more, God willing, in time to come. Have a great Shabbos. I hope you enjoyed this basic core insight. Was from Short and Sweet on the Parsha, my Torah commentary. If you'd like a copy, reach out. We can make that happen for you. And the rest, I'm just riffing concepts as we go. Okay, have a good night and a good Shabbos. Shabbat Shalom. Bye-bye.